Welcome to the Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community Podcast. I'm your host, Patrice Sagay. Back with me here today is my good friend, Ronnie and Chidi. Let me see if I can say it right. Kamau, did I say it right?
You did, yes.
Well, welcome. This is exciting. Thank you so much, guys, for being here. Now, this is part 2 of our discussion on food innovation in Africa. Now, last time we didn't get much into food innovation. So today I've invited them to come back so that we can really talk about food innovation. But before we do, I want to make sure that the audience understand a bit about who's with us, just in case you're watching it for the first time. Now, I was telling you guys before we got started that your last podcast was one of the highest viewed very early, within 24 hours. You have an incredible fan base. So let's first talk about that. A lot of people cheering for you guys. I know that Nigeria is I think the most populous country in Africa. I'm not sure if that's got something to do with it, but you obviously have a lot of people who care and love you guys. So tell me a bit about that. I mean, did you realize that you got this strong community or following?
Yeah, I think I'd say it's growing, given that we have done quite a lot in terms of our food provision in Kenya. We deal a lot with office catering. So the banks, embassies, multinational companies, factories, and also events. So people are beginning to know us. People are beginning to hear about us. And also, I don't think there's anyone else who is able to provide the quality that Gastronome does consistently and in the way that we do. So, people will try us and they will stay with us.
What about you, Karina?
Chidi.
I'm sorry, Chidi.
We're just nice people.
You're just nice people.
Once you meet us, you don't forget us.
Yeah, I mean, because there's almost, and again, not to make your heads big, but there's a sense of stardom about you guys, and that's grace. Now, does that create for you guys a level of pressure to succeed, to make sure that that you guys, your decorum is right? Do you feel any level of pressure?
Well, probably on the business side, because if we're known for our quality and there's something about us that draws people to us, we need to make sure that we maintain that. So it's not quite pressure, it's just making sure that we get it right all the time, which we try to do. So I think it's also, life is short. So if you're pressuring yourself to get it right, there'll always be something that will go wrong once in a while. So just go with the flow, but make sure 90% of the time you're getting it.
Yeah. It reminds me, and Frank is probably gonna get on me for saying this, but I remember one time Frank was talking to me about you guys. He said, Frank, those two are quite competitive. You guys have a reputation of being quite competitive. and actually, he's wrong. And if you're going to excel, you've got to be competitive, right?
Yeah, you have to set standards for yourself and try to beat them every single time.
Wow. Amen. That is awesome. It makes my heart glad, because as you guys know, the continent is far behind. And we need some highly driven, competitive young people who take the bull by the horn, who are unapologetic, and who really bring forth a level of excellence.
Yeah.
Now, Ronnie, last time we ended at the point where you come back from England to discover only that your dad, who had encouraged you to come back, he did what's your family name? What was your dad's last name be?
Karina.
He did a Karina on you, because you did the same thing to Chidi. Yeah. The Karina men have a way of just, right, Chidi, of just
being very persuasive.
Yeah. So, but you took it well. and he kind of set you up to get into your own business.
Yeah.
And that's led to the launch of, well, we also learned that your first name was not Gastronomy.
No.
I think it was Arena Catering, am I right?
Arena Caterers, yes.
And you were challenged by that name.
Yeah.
And you both kind of came together, and their Gastronomy was born.
Yes.
So remind our audience again. So why Gastronomy? What does that mean to you guys?
Yeah. So it's, I think for me, we were at a point where we were challenged in the name that we chose when we were in a meeting with a client. And so I came back home and I told Chidi, we need to think of a name that's unique, but also a name that is scalable, that we can actually grow beyond, boundaries, beyond anything, and we can have variety of.
So back then, you were already thinking,
Yeah.
when you were thinking about the name, you were really conceiving already the possibility of this name becoming something famous.
Yeah, absolutely, because you see, as caterers, all you do is catering. All you do is cook. But with the Gastronome, it opened up an opportunity to have retail products in supermarkets, schools, delis, coffee shops, restaurants, and really that's the vision that we have today. So it opened up a whole new world of opportunity, and not just focusing on one product, which is cooking. Yeah.
Now, Ronnie, most caterers and cook don't sit around dreaming of globalization and branding.
Yeah.
Most catering company are just, meat and potatoes. I cater, I make my money, I go home.
Yeah.
What is it about you guys? Why were you guys thinking this far out at this point?
I traveled to the UK with my wife and mom in 2016, and it was just a holiday to see, visit friends and family that are there, and I happened to visit the school that I did my pastry course in, and while I was there, at the time they had moved from where I did my course to a new building. Really, really beautiful, state of the art. And in one of the rooms, they had a map on the wall. And on that wall, they had pins on the different locations they've set up in the world. And to our surprise, Africa had no pin.
Wow.
So they hadn't set up anything in Africa. And I was going there to basically ask them, we want to start a school, we want to open a school in Kenya. How can you support us in doing that? And they tell us, funny enough, we do not have a location of the school in Africa, so there's an opportunity. So boom, already open up our eyes to see this thing is possible. Like there's a partnership that can happen simply because we have a brand that the Kenyans are beginning to take up. The only thing we're not able to set up at the time, or we didn't have at the time, was a school. But with the partners that we can begin to bring on board, Africa is open, and we're able to do that. Yeah. So that's I think for me that was the opportunity and the light bulb moment that actually showed us we can actually grow this thing beyond the confinement of a kitchen. Yeah. We can have a school, we can have a retail product, we can have a training center where we're churning out, not only produce, but also people. We're training people to make a difference in the hospitality industry, not only in Kenya, but in Africa.
I love it. And I remember I called you from Congo.
Yeah.
We're going to do business together, my friend. and because I see it. I see the need for a global continent franchise product line that reflects the excellence and the international quality, but yet is very authentic. Chidi, growing up, do you ever imagine that the Lord will use in this way? I mean, is this for you? Is this kind of dream come true, or is it kind of like something that you kind of never tell me a bit about what you are, how this matches up with what you envisioned for yourself growing up?
If it matches up at all.
not even close. So I've always dreamed of being a teacher. That was the thing that I said when I was little. When I grow up, I'm going to be a teacher. And I did become a teacher. I studied sociology and economics in university, but I still had a passion. I really wanted to be in the classroom. I wanted to be around children. So that's been my dream, that I want to be with children. I want to teach. I want to educate. I want to be an educator. And then this young man comes along and sweeps me off my feet, and he wants to do this. He wants to change the globe one bite at a time. So I've been sucked into it. I remember when we first started, I used to do the menus. I used to do the menus, and I'm not a chef. I can do fantastic research. So I'd sit at the laptop and I would find these amazing dishes that we could serve our clients. And then the chef would come in and say, that can work, that can work, that can work, that can work.
How motivating.
Oh my God. And I kept going back to this, this is not my thing. I'm just trying. But over the years, I think I've learned, I think his passion has rubbed off on me. And he's sold the idea to me that we can do this thing. We can be a global franchise. We can just expand into places that we've never been before. So the competitive side in me is like, okay, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I've been drawn into it. It's not something that I woke up one day and said, oh, fantastic, let me do food now.
But in the future, you're going to get blamed for it because you're Nigerian. They're going to say they think big everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
But it's helping.
They take over everything. You said, no, it's the Kenyan doing it. They're going to say, no. It's the Nigerian kitty. That is incredibly awesome. The discipline and the thoughtfulness that comes with being a teacher really lend itself to bringing stability to a visionary, right? So it makes that nice blend of awesome that you guys can be. I mean, guys, as you're watching this, look out for these two couples. One day I'm gonna say I knew them when. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. All right, if you never read that book, good book to read. And that book, one of the points the book makes is when you look at millionaires who become, one of the key factors is who they married. And the partnership between them and their wives or them and their husband. And that's been based on just pure statistics, right? That the marital relationship, the partner between husband and wife has been key. Again, this is statistically to them becoming very well off. So Ronnie, I'm not sure where you are, but
Amen to that.
Close. So let's talk about this idea of making this food innovation in Africa. So somebody would hear you talk about gastronomy or gastronome, they'll say, but man, you're selling out. I mean, if your success would mean robbing Africa of what's authentically Africa. You said that on the food side.
Okay, all right. So let me say the meaning of gastronome is really, we are big on marrying food and culture. So what that does, it opens up the world to us. And if our focus is Africa, we'll bring Nigeria to Ghana. We'll bring Ghana to Tanzania. We'll bring Uganda to wherever, So we're able to create a very authentic marriage between food and culture. So if we're robbing we're probably robbing those who are not experiencing us an experience worthy of being taken through, feeling what the gastronomy is. But I feel like we will be creating such a strong, we'll be building such a strong culture where we are actually showcasing what is true African food.
Mm-hmm.
What are the cultures? If you go to Uganda, you'll have bananas. What are the varieties of dishes we can create with these bananas? We'll bring out, it will be like National Geographic, where you're watching animals, but you're experiencing food like no other. Yeah. So we will create such a strong belief or understanding of food and just making people understand more about African culture. Yeah.
Through food. I love that. Now, here's the thing. When, again, a layperson, I'm a eater, not a cooker, right?
Yeah.
I'm the consumer, the food side.
Yeah.
Though I cook, but I cook for fun.
Yeah.
But when I think of gastronomy or the gastronome,
yeah,
I think about those restaurants where I go to and I leave, I'm still hungry.
Right.
And I spend a couple of $100.
Yeah.
And by the way, 100 plus per meal, right?
Right.
And then I leave, I got to stop by a fast food joint,
right.
just to fill my stomach. So, and that's not very African. So could you reconcile that? What am I missing here? And how different is the gastronome? What do I just describe?
We're not, I don't think we're that kind of a business or that kind of a food company. We love food as well. We're eaters. So we know that putting out portions that are poncy and tiny and you barely licked the plate and it's gone, that's not what people want. People want good food, but they also want good portions. So we're marrying all the cultures that we've come across, either in our research or in our travels, and bringing them together. Like we were looking at videos the other day, and we had a video clip from when we went to Zanzibar some years back, and we went to there's a place called Forodhani Gardens, and at night it comes alive and everybody comes out and they cook. But you have to be careful what you eat because you can get Zanzibar belly. So we went early. Way before they set up so that we could see how the people were setting up their food, whether they were taking it out from buckets or ice or things like that. So we zeroed in on this young man who made us a Zanzibar pizza. Now, I mean, he had the lid of a pan or a pot that was his humongous frying pan. And as he was making it, he was telling us how you don't need to eat food that is processed, food that doesn't have an expiry date, food that you need to eat these things. This is fresh, and he's putting in the mince, and we're just praying that we're going to be fine after eating it. Yeah. But that was what Gastronome is about. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you see the passion, the love, the commitment, the food, the taste, everything comes together. So that's what Gastronome is about.
Yeah. And also I think one of the things people love us about is people eat to their fill.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure whether that's a good thing.
Business-wise.
But anyone who knows us out there in the marketplace, if you want Gastronome to prepare a meal for you, you're sure that you're going to be full. So we ensure that we engage in a way that there's value to the consumer. You won't feel like you need to stop anywhere to fill up your belly. You'll be full, you'll be satisfied, and you'll be happy. You have a quality product that you can go home to and possibly miss dinner or lunch.
I love it. And I've been to one of the restaurants where you guys cater, and I mean, it was just great food. It was just beautiful. I loved it. So obviously, based on the following and based on the fact that your business is alive, this market, Africa, is ready for this offer, for this kind of food innovation. Would you agree from what you've seen so far?
Completely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot of, I mean, if you look at just Kenya, for example, the number of multinational brands, JW Marriott, Crown Plaza, Radisson, like the brands that are moving into Africa can really tell you that Africa is ready to compete with the rest of the world. There's a lot that we have in terms of a market, the disposable income, people are earning well and able to experience what the world, they say in the West, really offers right here in Kenya. So even for us, it's just to, position ourselves, pivot ourselves for that, for those opportunities, but also create value so that it's not just another caterer, it's not just another gastronome. There's value that we're bringing to the market.
Let's dream a little bit. So 15, 20 years from now,
yeah,
what does it look like for the Gastronome and for Ronnie and Chidi?
And let me not rob him of this. Let him go. Let him go.
Right. So the Gastronome, we have in 15 years, the Gastronome group of companies that has restaurants, that has delis, that has coffee shops. We'll have a school, so the Gastronome school, where we'll train. One of the challenges we're having, not only in Africa, but all over the world, is training is key. And in business, we say you're only as good or successful as the people you employ. And because, Kenya, for example, there's many people who employ untrained staff purely because they're cheaper labor. But then it impacts on your product. So we are saying we're going to have a school that we can train these people. We can improve the level of understanding of hospitality. And not only that, the vision of Gastronome or the Gastronome group of companies also is to provide a research and development center where you can bring in, test your recipes, bring in, meet celebrity chefs from all over the world, maybe in Africa, and we say, we're working on, macaroons, and we want to probably do beetroot macaroons or whatever. And we're like, you come to Kenya, there are these guys called the Gastronome. They have a fantastic state-of-the-art research and development center. You can test your recipes. You can have anything. You want to do a TV show, you need Gastronome's research and development center. Like anything, I don't know, you call it chops or whatever you want to do in Africa. That's where we want to, that's what we want to do. So that's the vision we have at the moment. And, we're currently doing a few things as we move towards that, even now.
Yeah.
And let's keep dreaming.
Chidi, if an investor is listening to this, and they're excited about it and they're saying, wow, I want in. Is your husband a good person is a good horse to bet on?
Oh my goodness, of course. I bet on the horse. So follow my leads. Yeah, definitely. He works hard. He's not only a visionary. Visionaries usually, they dream and then let other people follow through. But he walks through it,
Wow.
So definitely, if he says he'll do it, he will do it. So
now you both have been in business for a while, and but yet you somehow decided, and you were successful. It's not like you were struggling, but then you decided a young man named Frank convinced you guys to take a biblical entrepreneurship class in Kenya.
Yeah.
So first, why'd you do it? And second, how has that impacted you and your business?
Yeah. Frank is very convincing, number one.
That he is.
Right, awesome. But I think we also had this conviction that, we're growing Kenya has a reputation of doing things crooked, especially in business, a lot of the time. But we had said, I mean, because of the values that we abide by, we're not going to do this the wrong way. And it was around that time where we were saying, no, we're going to do it right. We're going to make sure that, is this what you want? You want our trucks to be checked? You want this to happen? You want us to come and have our people tested? That's fine, we'll do it. Even if it takes 3 months, that's fine. And it was around that time that we met, that Frank introduced us to biblical entrepreneurship. And I mean, we like to study together. We've done a couple of courses together. So it was around that time that we're saying, okay, what else can we do together? And Frank suggested biblical entrepreneurship. So we gave him a hard time, as we always do.
Convincing.
About, yeah, so why do we have to come and do it? Why?
What's the value proposition, right?
Exactly. Although also, I mean, we had sat through his presentation when he was doing it. About to come to...
when he came and represent Kenya in the United States.
Exactly. Yes. So he came to pitch, he came to do his pitch deck to us, and we tore him apart. Oh my gosh. We tore him to shreds, but he was very happy, and he went back, worked on it, and came in second.
He did?
Yeah.
He did.
So yeah, so we saw the passion and the drive that he had for biblical entrepreneurship, and the ideas, and how he was so focused, and how he was able to articulate the different things, you know, like what is his strategy? What are his finances? What's his succession plan? And I remember asking him, but I mean, you're young, why do you need to have a succession plan so young? So it kind of pulled us in that these are the things that we need to look at if we're going to scale the way that we want to.
Yeah.
Now, question before we continue about your journey experience, were you, because so you knew Frank even before he was the director for Nehemiah Project Kenya.
Yeah.
Before he opened the e-community center in Kenya, you knew him as an entrepreneur, you know, moving the executive entrepreneur. So were you surprised where he chose to forsake all that just to focus on building the Nehemiah Project in Kenya?
I wasn't surprised because it's we had spoken about it with him, I think, from the minute you began talking about it. So when he said, because at the time he was one of our suppliers, he was doing farming, and he would bring us cabbages, he would bring us vegetables. So when he then said that this is an opportunity, I'm willing to go for it, I was like, yeah, let's do that, because he had been talking about it for a very, very long time. So yeah, I wasn't surprised.
Wow. Oh, you were. Tell us, Chidi.
I was surprised because he was so passionate about the project that he wanted to do with pumpkins and avocado, and how he was going to grind it up and be able to help the people in marginalized areas for nourishment and blah blah. So I was quite surprised. But then as I interacted with him and as he was speaking about biblical entrepreneurship, I realized, and I actually told him this some time ago, that maybe the farming thing that is stuck in his mind is not the farming of tilling the land, it's the farming of people.
Wow.
Because he's such an amazing coach.
Isn't that incredible? He is.
Yeah, it's people that you're supposed to farm, not pumpkins and cabbage.
You know, what I've seen in Frank, and I haven't seen it before. As a matter of fact, I talked to a young man named Patrick Corona before this show, who's in South Africa, who brought me in South Africa. And probably would tell you, it's hard work.
Yes.
But what I've seen with Frank, his ability to, in a very short period, to launch a program and monetize it. Because one of the things often our people have passion, but they struggle to monetize, right? Because they're dealing with Christian who wants it free or cheap.
True.
Right? And that's the biggest hurdle. I mean, you know, our friend in South Africa, that's where he funded his own money in, and he ended up literally, poor guy, I had to literally go and back from say, guys, listen, you can't, you gotta pay up.
Yeah.
But I watched Frank overcome what I call the poverty mentality and overcome the challenge that for somebody whose product is the gospel itself, and being able to monetize it it's just been a powerful thing. And I guess you guys have been a source of encouragement for him.
Yeah, I think we walked the journey with him and his family, and just sort of seeing. Frank is also a very godly man.
Yeah.
And I think at the point where we even began to do business together, we were sort of seeing so many crooked suppliers in the marketplace.
Wow.
People who are colluding with our workers and just cheating their way in.
Yeah.
And then here comes Frank, who says, I'm going to give you this. The price is right. I'll deliver them on these days. You can pay me. He gave us very good credit days. So it became, for me, very apparent that why can't we find godly kingdom people like Frank, and build that network as we move along? Because at the end of the day, whether you're in Kenya or anywhere in the world, corruption is there.
Yep.
But if we begin to build a community of kingdom business entrepreneurs, it becomes a cleaner way of doing business. Yeah, and we began to talk, and as we continued, opportunities for him opened up with you guys, and the sky's the limit.
So he had credibility with you guys as a supplier. So when he launched Biblical Entrepreneurship, it wasn't like this crooked guy now just seizing an opportunity to peddle the gospel.
Yeah. No. It actually it hit home for me much more. So you could sort of see where he's going and the need in the marketplace for kingdom businesses.
Yeah.
To start impacting and changing the way things are done.
I love it. So how did the class, you already haven't been in business for many years, how did it impact you guys?
Yeah, I think for me it was hard, just sort of seeing how God intends for us to do business. Whether it's sowing and reaping, whether it's using your talents, any biblical verse in the Bible, or any verse in the Bible, really, if you begin to think a bit about it much more deeper, it has very many examples of how to do business. So for me, initially it was hard to sort of tie the examples to business, because business is business, and Christianity is Christianity. We go to church, we pray for our sins, and business is business. But then just to sort of see the godly principles of how to do business, for me was just mind blowing. And just sort of seeing you can actually do business God's way and actually still prosper, because that's what He's calling us to do. Is it impacting lives? How are we treating our people? Are we loving them enough to pay them right? Are we loving them enough to ensure that they have the right facilities where they work? Things like that. So I think for me it was great. I was greatly challenged in how I run the business. And just sort of seeing what kind of impact that God has put on us to do business, even as we do it. We impact. It's church for us. It's where we are able to draw in those communities. It's where we are able to have one-on-one. People will begin to follow Christ because of us.
Wow. And Chidi, how was that for you? That's incredible.
Mine was, it was shocking to see, you think that the Bible is the Bible. It doesn't have much to do with business, but the thing that made me sit up in my seat was when we learned that God wants us to make a profit. And if you don't make a profit, you're not in business.
Yeah.
So that kind of packed my ears a bit, and I was like, okay, we're on the right track. Because yeah, he wants you to prosper, and if you're prospering in business, it means you're making a profit. But it also means with that profit, you're going to impact the people around you as well. You're going to be God to the people around you. So you need to make a profit. Something else that stood out for me a lot in the class was just how there's so many examples in the Bible of strategic business people. You know, Nehemiah went and he did a pitch. You know, Joseph did a pitch. And you need to be prepared. So when you're struggling and when you're feeling, oh, woe is me, just think about it that you're being prepared for the pitch of your life. And you better be ready. You better be ready when it comes. It was just small things that just made me feel, oh my gosh, wow.
Wow. We're going to go a little over. This is good. Do you guys mind? Do you guys have 20 more minutes for me? Yeah, this is good. Although I will have to do another third show. So those who are watching, it's going to be a long show, but this is worth it. This is good. Because before I get to the coronavirus, I want to two other questions for you guys. And this is a little controversial that I want to talk about. Because you talk about a pitch. You guys were victims of what I often call of competence. I heard that you guys, your execution of class, your follow through was superb.
Yeah.
Right. But yet you didn't win the competition.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your delivery was incredible and so forth. So, because I've had students like that where they're just like they're the head of the class.
Yeah.
And then on competition day, excellent. Even have some who in practice head over heels.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the day of, something happens, not because they were not what they normally are, but somehow the judges, charisma, somebody else comes from left field and they grab that win. I want to ask you guys, so, because it's not easy when that happens.
No.
So how was that for you guys? I've had students where that's happened to. And how was it for you guys? And then with that, did you learn anything from it, or were those judges just jerks?
I think for me, no, the judges were not jerks. I think first and foremost, I don't want to take it away from Nina. She did a fantastic job. She, you know, her business was spot on. The impact, the you know, the strategy that she has, fantastic. And I you know, just to sort of say congratulations to you, Nina, and you know, may you just, you know, soar the boundaries and you know, and the heights of your school. So I think for me, the work that we do in biblical entrepreneurship for the months that we actually engage, I told Frank, must count. And I told him, even if it's 1 point or even 0.5 of a point, it has to count, because what you then do is ensure that those who are engaging in the class, in the weeks, in the coursework, there's something that will count at the end of the day. So it between you and somebody else, it could just be that point that causes you to win. So how do I get the students? Because for us, we're doing the business entrepreneurship for the executives. We are working, we're building businesses. You know, we're not the certificates who are, you know, learning how to do business. We're starting up. We are actively in business. So do we have time to do BE? We don't have time.
We make the time.
But we make the time. We make the sacrifices. We go to the class every week from 7 to 9. We do the coursework. We do the call. We do the coaching. So for somebody who's been there week on week, I think it should count in whatever capacity.
That's a good perspective. I'm going to bring it up to the team. That's a good perspective, because you're dealing with executives all as busy.
Exactly.
And yeah, Chidi, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm the competitive one, so I was like, but I was like, oh man. But also what it did for us was it made us realize, okay, so we may not have won, but the knowledge that we've got from putting all this together there was no value that we could put on that work. Because it opened up our minds to talking about and digging up files and remembering what we said we wanted to do. So it helps to bring the dreams back. It helps for us to see, okay, this is where our financials are. But if in 10, 15 years we want to be at X, then we need to do certain things. We need to change things around. And it was also good to be able to present this business that everybody is like, oh my goodness, is this what the Gastronome is? Oh my gosh, we didn't know. So it was an eye opener for us. It would have been fantastic if we won, but we're okay. We're good.
You guys did well. The other thing too, I think the Lord is setting you guys for something. He knows that the only way to keep you guys driving is to hold it back a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because to whom much is given, much is required.
Very true.
That is true. That is true.
Very true.
Let's talk a bit and then we're going to get to Corinne in a minute. Let's talk about the impact, because I just see that your success, and this is what I'm excited about you guys, and I'm actually following you guys because I want to, like you, Chidi, I want to bet on the horse. Even if I got to put my little pennies in there, who knows? If I would have put my pennies when Bill Gates started, right now,
very true.
You know what I mean? I'll be retired. And maybe the Lord knew that, so He didn't have me do it. But so let's talk about the impact on Kenya and Africa. Gastronome have succeeded. What does Kenya or Africa look like as a result of your success? What do you see?
Wow, that's a hard question. I see. So for me, the fact that Gastronome is a successful company just goes to show that there are opportunities not only in Kenya but in Africa. So, I've been working on stories on our Facebook page just about how stories about Gastronome, and we realized that during this COVID time, it would be a perfect opportunity to just engage with our consumers, let people really realize who's Gastronome and what are you on about. So just yesterday, there's a story we put up about my schools, where I studied, my journey of education and hospitality. And just to sort of see the leaps and bounds I have made, starting off from a place where I was interning to moving across the world to specialize, working with establishments in London and in the UK, all over the UK. I think for me is a sign that we just have to focus and believe that we can actually do or change things. A lot of us sit on talents, sit on so much potential that we have, but because we hear voices in our heads that we're not good enough, or if you go ahead with it, you may fail. I think for me, it's the beliefs that are with us based on culture or our nurture that inhibit us from just launching. Africa has so much talent. There's so many Africans who are working in the US, in the UK, in Europe and all over the world. And there's a need for us to come back and build Africa. Africa, they say, is the next frontier. How are we going to do that if people are out there? So what is Gastronome doing? We're making it applicable to us, that we'll do whatever it takes to make that change, to make that difference, to bring Europe to Africa in what we train and how we deliver it.
Wow. Chidi, what do you see? You're 30 years out and you're giving at a big event and you're giving your speech.
Yeah.
What would you like to see how Kenya or Africa has been impacted because of your success?
I want us to be able to say that there are so many companies that are homegrown.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want us to be depending on the big, we call Caucasians Muzungus. We don't need to we don't need to be dependent on that. We have the ideas, we have the knowledge. I mean, we need to pull together as Africa and do this thing, you know? And that's why we're passionate about starting the school, because we want to grow our people. I mean, it's very easy for massive hotels now to get their executive chef from Dubai and Turkey and all these places, pay them big money to come and cook in Kenya. But how about the Kamau next door? I mean, if you gave him the opportunity, he'll run with it, and he'll be way more loyal than this guy, because somebody else will headhunt him, but this guy is home and he can grow it. So I want us to be able to look back and say, Gastronome played their little part in making sure that Africa is on the map, you know, because we have so much potential. If we get our acts together, I mean, we'll give them a run for their money.
I love it. Here's what I heard from what Bob said. I hear, because of Grassroom's success, investors are pouring in.
Amen.
Particularly in the food industry, because you guys have demonstrated that African food can be commoditized. It can be productized. Because of African success, Gastronome said jobs have been created. There are a number of people, even hundreds and thousands, are being employed by Gastronome's companies, subsidiaries, and even vendors. So there's this network of jobs. What I'm hearing is, you know, there's a little pride that's back into us because there's some homegrown business and entrepreneurs. What I'm hearing you say is that there are new chefs and servers that are homegrown that the multinationals can now hire. They don't have to look outside, and they can demand good pay, because Gastronome has set a standard of paying the indigenous well. And showing that master chef can come locally.
For sure.
And some of them are even been on demand at an international level.
Absolutely.
Is that what you see?
Absolutely.
I love it. I got so much to talk to you, but let's get to COVID-19. Because I do, as you guys evolve, I have you back from time to time because I want to follow you very closely. Because you guys are an inspiration not only for me, but I'm sure for many others watching. That's why you're so popular and so many people are watching you. So COVID-19, how did it impact the Gastronome?
It was put simply, we were shut off. And mainly because the clients we serve are, as I said, banks, factories, embassies, multinationals. Everyone was advised to work from home. The essential staff are still going to work, the clients that is, but then, where we have units where we produce on location, those facilities were shut down. Also because you're congregating as Gastronome, but also the canteens or the cafeterias where people would eat from, you can't just sit there anymore. So, we were shut down. We have one factory that is still trying to come back, but currently they're not there. But we were shut out. So what did we do?
Before you get to that.
Okay.
I mean, because people are listening and you're here to talk about it. You have a thriving business one day. And the next day,
literally
shut down. So at that very moment, what was going through your head?
Confused. I was so confused. Like I didn't know what to do, what to think. We had over 100 people, staff wondering, are we in a job? Are we not in a job? Like it was just a whirlwind of many thoughts.
Because for you, it's not just the fact that you're living, because maybe you have reserves, but the issue is you got 100 people that you employ, that even if you have reserve, you can't keep them employed for doing nothing forever.
Very true. Very
exactly.
true. Yeah.
So you did something about it. Tell us what you did.
So, I mean, first of all, we had to talk to the staff and just lay it out for them realistically and saying, okay, guys, look, this is what's happening. So we started shutting down one by one from the 18th of March. And by the 27th of March, the last unit was down.
Wow.
So payroll.
And the one by one was kind of just phasing, or was it based upon clients who were ending their contract? What was the strategy there?
No. Okay. So because all the units were closing, payroll was going to be rolled out. We said, okay, March is done. We've stopped in the middle of March, but we'll pay you like you've worked the whole month.
Wow. Is that right? Wait a minute. This is Africa.
Yeah.
Because that kind of thing I hear about in America, maybe in Europe, but not in Africa. So you tell me you didn't do what, I hate to say, guys, don't write me for this, but that most African companies do, you know, say, go fend for yourself. You actually told your people, I'm going to pay you for March.
Yeah, we're going to pay you for March. But come April, depending on what the situation is like, we will assess it. So as we sat down, the three directors sat down and we said, okay, look, based on what we're expecting to come in from our invoices and based on what we have in reserves, if we let these guys just go out just like that, one, they're not going to be able to provide for their families. And two, we're not showing the care that we've been talking about forever with them, you know, that this company cares about you, care about us as well. So we said, if it's possible, let's try and stretch it as much as possible. So we spoke to all the staff individually. We divided them amongst the three of us, and we called each one of them and said, look, things are hard, we get it. So what we're going to do is April, we're going to pay you half your salary.
Whether there's work or not.
They were not at work.
Oh my gosh. You became a stimulus.
I'm telling you.
You acted like a multinational.
Yeah.
Because you know, that cares for people.
Yeah.
As though you had deep pockets.
Yeah. Which we don't. Yeah. So
this is good stuff. This is good stuff.
Yeah. So we said we'll pay you half your salary. And we just need to pray that we'll be able to do it. So we had to strategize and say we can do this for this long, and then after that we'll have to make hard decisions. So the unfortunate part was we had to let go of those who are what we call casual workers. So they don't have a contract, they come in and out when they're needed. But those who were on our payroll as contract staff, we retained, and they're still on our payroll, and we're just praying that we'll be able to help out as little as we can, because at this point, any little helps for the month of May and hopefully for June. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, for those listening, you know, I'm an employer, so I understand the battle between kingdom values, economic reality, and how to blend those two together and shred that. It's like when presidents send men to war.
Yeah.
Right. You know, as a leader, you realize that there's going to be casualty.
Yeah.
But you have to defend your country.
Exactly.
Right. As an executive, you know, I had to go through the same thing with the EMI project. By the grace of God, I mean, for us, just like was phasing, we said, okay, we're going to keep it. But I said, but phase two for us was you keep working full time, but we only pay half, but we owe the difference.
Yes, exactly.
But for you guys, you didn't have the luxury. You actually did better than us. You didn't have the work. You still kept paying them. So I kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have done that. You know, you inspire me. Now I know what, you know. So we And then so we went to half, and my team was just amazing. And then that lasted about 30 days. And then by the grace of God, the plans were put in place to pivot. Worked. And I was actually able to announce to the team, I think this week, that we'll be able to pay everybody up what they've owed. And going forward, we're not at normalcy unless something else changes. Wow. Isn't that incredible?
It is
amazing.
Good job. You know, and so and I thank God to my team, because they're and I would check on them each week. How you doing? How you doing financially? You know, by the grace of the Lord, they're everybody hung in there. One of them said, "Well, Patrice, I'm doing good, but I know that if it goes on much longer, I may have to get a part-time, find something aside to sell, whatever." I said, "You do what you have to do."
Yeah.
You know, it didn't get to that word. So this is biblical entrepreneurship in action, isn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because it's not just about when things are good, when money is flush, but it's about at wartime. And this is war for the businessmen. This is war at wartime. How do you make decisions? How do you sacrifice? Do your people see you paying the price like the others? Do they see that care? I love it. So, but I heard through the grapevine that you guys also did a lot of pivoting in the process.
We did.
Let's talk about that. What innovations came out as well? How you guys pivoted, and what has Gastronome redefined during this time to make things work? Because to pay these people, you have to make money somewhere. Because you know you couldn't just rob the reserves.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So we did. So as I had spoken earlier, we had, you know, part of our Gastronome group of companies' vision is to have these coffee shops and delis, and for us to realize that, we had planned to have a central processing unit that creates standardized snacks for delivery, not only for Gastronome, but for coffee shops that want to buy the Gastronome product. They want to retail it in their coffee shops. It's a consistent product, quality product that you can get delivered to you whenever, you know. So we said, let's give this thing a try. So we went back to our recipes. I started off with a gluten-free cookie. Tried it out, posted it on Facebook. We got huge responses. Then I came up with a list of snacks that we can begin to roll out. And yeah, so we began to have snacks that we could sell as takeaways. Yeah. And we had a small team that would come to the kitchen, make the things. I would test some of the things with Chidi and the boys at home. And we now have a snack menu that goes out every week. We have a following that buys every week. We have new guys that come in every week. There's always a new person who's coming in every week. You know, from something that we hadn't monetized or thought about at this current time, that, you know, it was something that was in, you know, 3 to 5 years time to come, was just an amazing thing that we can actually do that. What we are currently also working on now is lunch boxes and family pack options that we plan to roll out next week. So, you know, for those who are in offices, for those families who are lazy to cook, and you just want some fantastic lamb chops, spare ribs.
Lazy, maybe they're busy.
They're lazy, and I get lazy as well. I don't want to cook all the time. I just want to, you know, just chill out and get something easy to eat. So we're going to have fantastic items to buy next week, reasonably priced for family, but also, you know, if you just want a pack to take home, that's what we're doing. So I'm excited about it. I think it's showing us the potential that Gastronome does have, the muscle to keep fighting, because it's as you say, it's war. And the sky is the limit.
Oh my gosh. look what the enemy means for evil.
Yeah.
God uses it for good. What a way to pivot. And here's a lesson learned here.
Yeah.
You didn't pivot away from your strength. I have a talk, which, by the way, next Saturday, for those who are listening, who are in well, anywhere in the world, but particularly those in Africa, next Saturday, we're going to be doing a business forum where we're going to be talking about how to succeed post-quarantine within the context of Africa. And within that, I have a talk where I give 7 points. We'll open up with me sharing what the world will look like post-quarantine, to give the entrepreneurs a perspective of how to prepare. It's in 3 phases. We see phase 1 as the trial, phase 2 as the abundance, and phase 3 as the crisis. I won't share the details. Come for that forum and you'll learn about it. And then we have a panel discussion of entrepreneurs and leaders throughout Africa to share, where we ask them questions, where they talk about ways that they're navigating it. But then we close the forum with me sharing 7 keys to success post-quarantine. One of the keys, Ronnie, that I share is if you're going to succeed post-quarantine, you gotta keep pivoting.
Yeah.
But play to your strength, and that's what you did. Yeah. Because sometimes people pivot away from their strengths.
Sure.
Right? Which may create a short-term result, but a long-term vulnerability. Right? You fix the problem, but you delay the pain.
That's true.
Right.
Wow.
Right. But what you did, you pivot to your strength. But what you also did, what I love, is this: you also pivoted to your plan.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't go with something. You went back. That's why having that plan is important.
Yes.
Right. Because all you did was bring forward, back a plan that was going to be 10, 15 years from now, 5 years from now. You brought to the now. That's the importance of planning, because you never know. So what that did, because you had planned, it made you better agile. And another thing you did is you had positioned yourself to either have reserve and or credit.
Yeah.
Because had you not have that, there's even if you wanted to help your employees, there's no way you could have done it.
Yeah.
Very true.
Right? And so as entrepreneurs, that's something to learn. Plan, have a heart of compassion, live out your values, but also build reserves, and always make sure you have liquidity, because you never know what could happen. Learn from this couple. Well, guys, I mean, this was an NBA class in 1 hour. This was good stuff. So my closing question to you, again, you guys, I'm going to call you from time to time, because I think watching you guys, to me, are a case study.
Yeah.
And as we watch you over the years, we're going to just see, this come to pass, and you got a fan in me.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
So my people are listening from all over the world. And some of them were not in a position like you were, where you had each other and a partner to process, didn't have the reserve or the line of credit to pull from, may have not even have the heart or the compassion to draw from, to say, you know what, let's phase it out. They may have regrets as to how they handled it, or may have not been able to pivot as you did, or maybe some did pivot, and maybe they did all that, but they're still kind of a bit uncertain as to what the future holds. What advice would you give them? And I want you to speak at 2 levels. Let's first speak to the couples, because you guys really are a model couple. What advice would you give couples listening who want to aspire to be like Ronnie and Chitty? What advice would you give to the couples as they consider their own vision, their own success?
Yeah. I think for me, first and foremost is, without God, you're going to kill each other. You're going to kill each other. Like it's very tough, especially because I have my goals and aspirations, and Chidi has hers. So at what point do you come together and say, let's do yours, let me delay mine, or the other way around?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I have a certain way of looking at things. I have very unique views, and she does have very unique views. So when you come together and agree there is usually a lot of friction. So God has to be in your marriage first, because without him, it's going to be, very, very difficult. Secondly is you need to be in a space where you're learning and doing, you're growing your knowledge together, especially in the business that you want to do together. What I find is if you're doing different things, so you're both career people, and there's a business opportunity and you want to do it together while you're still doing your careers, you'll find it challenging because you need to spend time, you need to bring your all into this thing, because the minute you're divided, then it becomes very tough. Doing things together, we learn a lot together. We did BE together. We've done other courses together. And that knowledge we bring into Gastronome. So even as we're doing the courses, Chidi has a way of understanding what we've learned. I have my own way of understanding it. So when we come together, we become a very powerful force. And even as we train those who are with us, then the training becomes a lot more powerful. So for me, learn together, do things together so that you're growing that value, but also have God, do things that honor him, and just make sure that you're gracious to each other, because you will fight. If anyone knows Chidi, she's a fighter.
Hey.
You sort of have to have the grace, because it's not about the fights, it's not about the disagreements, it's really driving the vision and what God is calling us to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chidi, the fighter. What do you say?
I'm a very gracious fighter. He's spoken really well. What I would add is separate roles, because that's what used to cause the friction between the two of us. So we'd be in each other's business a lot. No pun.
Did you ever get into the kitchen?
I tried.
He said there's only one chef.
I didn't kick her out.
He said there's only one chef in this house.
There's only one chef.
Did you go to school, Chidi? Only one chef.
Yeah, so what really helped us was separating our roles. So he's the dreamer, he thinks up things, he's also the people's person, so he can sell to anybody. He's a marketer, he's a salesperson. I'm not that at all. If you send me to the client, we will lose clients. So just knowing what your strengths are and harping on those, but also giving each other grace to know that if I'm handling this, I'm handling it. You can approach my desk and ask me, so Chidi, where are you on this bit?
Yeah.
But don't come in like, what, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. How could you, we need, let's respect each other's rules. And also understand that we're not in competition with each other. If he shines, it doesn't take away my light. And if I shine, it doesn't take away his light. When we are prospering, we're prospering together. I think sometimes couples start to have these squabbles because it's like you're competing against each other, who's better at what they're doing for the business, when it's not anything like that. So,
I love it. Ooh, good advice. Let's speak to the entrepreneurs, all of them now. What word do you guys give them? Let's start with you, Chidi, and then we'll close with your husband.
What would I tell them now? It's hard, but but I always liken business to when you as a couple decide to have your first child. You're scared, you're nervous, there's excitement, have we planned enough? Maybe we've not planned enough. Have we got all the things? Business is kind of like that, especially for those who are starting off. But you need to just take that leap of faith. Do your homework, get your research, do the planning, because planning is so important. And then just pray and go with it. For those who are in business now, it's a rough ride, and it will be rough for some months to come. But I know that if you've planted your business in God, the seeds have come from God and you've done what you need to do, just hold on to that promise that he'll never leave you, he'll never forsake you. Just ride the wave. He's with you. Keep thinking, keep innovating, think, pray, ask God what next, and just keep moving. One step in front of the other. Don't sink. Just keep going forward. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Wow. Maybe a bit on that, even as you go forward, have community that cheers you on. You need people who are celebrating you. A lot of the guys who supported us as we launched the snack delivery are friends and family. They were like, you know what, we're going to support you. What can I buy? Send this, send that. And those are the people who give you the energy to keep going. And secondly, as I shared yesterday, I shared a story about Daniel in the Bible, and he had unshakable faith. He went through a lot of turmoil, and he still stood strong, and his focus was on God. So for me, to those entrepreneurs listening, I want you to have resilience, and resilience that is coming from the God that you serve, because he is unchangeable. Like there's nothing that you can do that he doesn't know. So have resilience. Have that unshakable faith that even as I do this, I'm trusting that God will walk with me, and he will walk with you. And then just pray and see how things go. So I think for me, community is huge, but also just having that resilience. We haven't given up. We're still creating. We're still going to do the lunch boxes. We're still going to do the family packs. We may have a truck that's going to go around Nairobi dishing out hampers or whatever. I don't even know, but we'll still be creating. But don't give up. There's a lot of fire and power in each and every one of us that God has put in, and we can do anything, and I mean anything that we can think or imagine.
Wow. Yeah. What a great advice, great stuff. They want to get in touch with Gastronome. They want to order some of those snacks. Where do they go?
So they can go on. We're going to put the menus and things on our website, but not yet. But we have. So our website is www.thegastronome.co.ke, and you can see a lot of what we do just to understand our brand. But also on social media, we are the Gastronome Limited on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can engage with us there. If you want to chat us, we are on 0700 780-329. That's 0700 780-329. You can chat us up. You can send us a message. You can inquire about anything, and one of us will, someone from our team will get back to you. But thank you so much for the support. Thank you for believing in us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being the true Gastronome champions. We celebrate you.
I love it. And thank you for being a model and a role model. And pretty soon they're going to be on the marketplace.
Yeah.
And maybe one day, who knows, you'll be able to ship some of that Gastronome stuff to America, to Europe, to Asia. Who knows?
Amen.
Yeah.
Wow. I hope that you guys have been blessed. Have you heard this couple? What a story. I know I've been blessed. Ronnie talked about community. And we do have a community called the Nehemiah Entrepreneurship Community. So if you want to be a part of that community, where together we can transform the world, visit our website, Nehemiah Entrepreneurship, NehemiahEcommunity.com, NehemiahEcommunity.com. And there you'll learn how you can be a part of our training, our coaching. Even if you need access to capital, we can provide that for you. And of course, you want to connect with Frank in Kenya, because he, as you heard here, he's an incredible trainer coach that can help you. By the way, Kenyan prices are cheaper than the US. So if you want to check that one out, don't tell anybody I told you that, but that's what you want to do. If you're out of Kenya, I think his classes are also online. You register there and you get classes that are cheaper. With that said, guys, thank you so much. You've been just incredible. Thank you for your story. I'm going to have you come back. Is that okay with you guys?
Absolutely fine.
Well, let me leave you guys with this. May the Lord bless you. And may the Lord enable you to steward those talents that he's placed under your care, so that one day you can hear those wonderful words. Well done,
Amen.
good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few things. He'll now make you rule over much. God bless you. Thank you again, guys. Love you guys so much.
Take care.
Yes.
Bye-bye.